once you introduce your partner,
Mm-hmm.
boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife to your friends, they now are going to make a values judgment. They are
Mm-hmm.
now going to have an opinion. Hello, you are listening to Relationship Renegade Weekend Edition. I'm Jameson Mercier.
And I'm Mia Terrazas.
Hey, we're getting
Hey,
it.
hey.
We're getting there. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode. Wow, where we talk about relationships. Not just talk about relationships, but I think we're irreverent and unapologetic. At least that's the goal. We don't mean to offend you. If we do, tell us about it. I don't know that we'll stop, but the idea is to just...
Disclaimer, we may be an acquired taste.
Yeah, trust me. The idea is to break through some of the crap that we've been holding on to about relationships. And so if you give us, 5 or 10 minutes, you'll acquire the taste and you'll be fine. If not, we're okay with it too. But thank you guys for joining us today. So today we wanted to tackle the topic of our friends when they get in relationships, and suddenly they think they all that.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, if you're either, as you're listening to this, you're either the one who thinks they're all that, if you don't think you are that friend, and maybe it's you.
Yeah.
It happens. And so on a serious tip, when people get into relationships, they can be excited. It's a new person, it's new experiences. And sometimes as the friend who's always been there, we don't always know how to deal with that.
Right. I've had a little of both.
Tell us about it.
Tell you about it. Yeah. Let me take you down memory lane.
Yeah.
Well, I've been a single gal and have had friends that were kind of like my single, like she was my bae, you know what I mean? Like she was someone that like she would be in place of the boyfriend, like I didn't have to worry about a plus one because I had my girl. You know what I mean? She was it for me. She was so fun, or I didn't have to go to a family party alone. Nix that. It was her.
Gotcha.
Okay. So when this person got into a relationship, I was like bummed out. I was like, oh man, now I got to sit with my aloneness.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, God, how dare she? Now I have to actually like pick times to spend with her. Like, is she not gonna? And then you kind of get like maybe a little bitter, like a little bitter Betty, not for her happiness. I was more than happy that she found somebody that, made her happy. But
listen, I think that might, okay, so maybe for you too, but for a lot of people, that's just a load of crap. Where people say, I'm happy for them, but, I was bitter. How does that happen?
Well, you want the best for your people, at least that's what I'd like to think. And okay. I was happy that she, was able to find, the friend in me was happy that she was able to find someone that like she got along with and she wanted to spend time with romantically. But like the selfish part of my being was like, shit.
Yeah. I don't know if I could do both at the same time though. That's just me being honest. I just don't know how to do that, to be both happy for you and sad for myself at the same time.
Maybe as a single person, I've just learned to do that. I don't know. Learning to do that really well. But I think, I guess in those times, like when I had to do something by myself, I wanted someone to go be there with me, was when I was like not so happy about it. But then
That's when you were reminded.
yeah, and then when I saw pictures of her just being freaking happy, you can tell when your people are happy, they freaking glow. Then I'm like really happy for her. I guess when it
Okay.
has, you know what I mean? But I get what you're saying, not at the same time, like in the same second, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I recognize that I bounce back and forth when that
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah. I think kind of in some ways when like that person gets into a relationship, you kind of have to mourn it a little bit. That kind of relationship of what was like that friendship, because you know what that means, at least when you've been single for as long as I've been single, then
Mm.
you kind of, you get people that kind of come in and out of your life. And sometimes that's how it feels, um, when they're with you like every single day, or most days. And then they get into a relationship and their kind of attention or their energy goes to someone else. And
Hmm.
then you're kind of on the wayside. So it's kind of like this ebb and flow, and it doesn't feel great sometimes when you're in that moment when their attention's not on you, I suppose.
Right, right. And let's be clear when we talk about mourning, right? So you don't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily mourn the entire relationship,
Mm-hmm.
just the way it was.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get stuck into like, oh my God, it's over, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, it's not over. It's just that piece of it is over.
Yeah, it changes.
It changes,
And we all know
right?
how we love change.
Man, don't we?
Yeah. And then, I've also been on the flip side where I've been in a relationship and I'm like kind of your token single girl, amongst my friends these days because they're all paired up.
Hmm.
So I used to have, the flexibility for them to do things on their terms, kind of, or if they had kids, like I would go with their kids, or if they wanted to go do this, like I had the flexibility and kind of
The open
uh,
schedule.
the open schedule to kind of do that on their terms, which I didn't mind doing at all because why not? Um, but then when I was in a relationship, it was like, well, we used to see you all the time. Now we don't. Um, and it becomes like a negative. And I'm like, I'm just trying to be in a relationship. I'm just trying to, figure this all out.
Hmm. Hmm. And that can put a damper on a new relationship.
Yeah, that pressure.
Yeah, and the thing is, new relationships are not equipped to handle that kind of pressure.
Yeah. Or then it becomes like a weird kind of bonding situation where it's like, well, your friend should be happy for you, you know, um, kind of thing. And then it kind of could put like a
Hmm.
weirdness on like your friendships or whatever,
Yeah, no, it's
like us
tough.
against them kind of thing.
Yeah, and you can easily find yourselves into these opposing camps,
Mm-hmm.
and if there's one thing we do is we defend our camps pretty well.
Yeah.
And then to take it even further, right? The real messed up thing is even if you were not like maybe digging this person too much,
Oh, right.
now you feel like it gotta work, we gotta
Yeah.
show these mofos.
Mm-hmm. Now,
And
now I will say too with that I do think that people, um, like your friends and your family, like I think they do think of you, and they recognize when certain things you're being a little weird or shady, or something, like they'll be the first kinds of people to kind of check you.
mhm.
Um, so there's some value, I think, in that. But it does get really difficult when they don't like your significant other.
Yeah, listen, I've been, again, this is before I married my lovely wife, whom I love with all my heart.
Shout out Herdine.
Shout outs, love you, babe. I've been in relationships where my mom or my sisters, my siblings, they're like, oh, hell no.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm speaking from experience. I'm like, but you don't even know the person.
Right.
Come on, give this person a chance. And you're like, no, you got to get to know them. And even as a relationship may be falling apart, you're frantically trying to keep it together just to prove a point.
Yeah, and like you said before, it just adds like a certain kind of pressure on your relationship, or kind of creates a further divide, like we were saying, that us against them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. Needless to say, none of those relationships they didn't materialize into much because they're not around anymore.
Right.
So it's tough. And now in a marriage, like some people even take that into marriage,
Hmm.
Um, new relationships and new marriages have a lot of similarities.
Hmm.
Um, the expectations of the new spouse, um, new friends, that whole merging, um, combining of the friends or not,
Right.
introducing this person.
I will say too, like as a single person and then getting into a relationship and then hearing kind of the criticisms or whatever, like it and we're talking about like wearing on you, like it definitely does. It makes you kind of doubt this situation. Like, well, my people have been right before, and like previous relationships, like, pointing things out with a significant other that I should have been careful of, and just their opinions uh, adding so much weight to this new relationship or the
Mhm.
potential of it, and trying to sift that out too.
Yeah.
And like it brings me to my point too of like what you were saying before to me just at the beginning of this episode, which was like, well, can you be both? Can you be happy for your person but also selfishly not happy for them? You wonder where that line is.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point I don't keep it a secret. I'm like, yeah, no, you go be happy. Don't come over here because I'm not ready.
I'm not ready.
Give me some time. Give me time. Um, the whole pressure thing on like, so as families and when people get into relationships and marriage, um, I didn't understand it until I got married.
Hmm.
It wasn't until I got married that I understood what new marriages go through
Hmm.
because there's so many people to please.
I can't even imagine what when you actually get married what that looks like, but in terms of a new relationship, I can relate in that way.
Yeah, well, it's similar
Hmm.
times 10.
Yeah.
That you just magnify that shit. There's so many people to please, right? So there's the new parents, the mom and
Hmm.
dad, whether you call them bonus parents or in-laws, and
Hmm.
and then there's their whole circle of friends and their influences, and maybe they have coworkers, and it's happening on both sides. There's church friends and there's church family, and you're just like, oh my God. To the point where I encourage new couples, just don't do anything. Don't make any friends. Just kind of be together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be.
Just be with your husband or your spouse. Even if you're dating, right? Just figure each other out
Yeah.
because, and I tell my friends this all the time. Once you introduce your partner,
Hmm.
boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife to your friends, they now are going to make a values judgment. They are
Hmm.
now going to have an opinion.
Yeah.
And they may even like the person or
Hmm.
they may dislike them, but now we can't pretend like they don't know.
Right.
And you're going to get some whiff of their feelings about this person either way. And now that's more stuff to consider.
Man, that married life though.
It ain't for everybody. It's there if you want it, but it doesn't fit everybody.
Hmm. Mm. It. Hmm.
So when I found myself in that situation, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, I have a whole lot more compassion for newlyweds
Yeah.
and people in newly dating relationships,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't even know who the hell they're dating, and yet they're supposed to be pleasing their families and their friends. No,
Yeah.
no way.
That's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot to put on a person.
Yeah, I tell them, don't even go to the game nights. Don't double date. Don't do anything with anybody.
And then there's like also this like concept of the person changing while being in the marriage or being in a relationship
Hmm.
as well, like that critical analysis, if you will, of what you were saying, kind of like a values um, thing that goes on with your friends and family. Um, what do you think about that? Like, do you think there is some change that happens while someone's in a relationship?
So yes, I have to say there is change.
Mm.
I think why the change happens is also just as important as the change
That's a
itself.
good point.
So um, I find myself when Herdine and I were first dating, I found myself doing things that I wasn't doing as a single person.
Mm-hmm.
We used to joke around like, damn, I started flossing like regularly, right? Because hell, it's just me. Or maybe you dress nicer, or maybe you buy nicer clothes.
I'm not even gonna lie. I thought you were talking about the dance move.
Me,
I know. Is my age showing?
well, yeah, we're talking like 20 years ago now, Mia.
I was like, wow, her dance really got him into like, flossing, like doing cool dance moves, like it's stepping outside of himself.
Yeah, Herdine's got me into a lot of things. Flossing is not one of them. I'm
Womp
talking,
womp.
yeah, I'm talking dental floss.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. And so we're doing, we
Oh
do,
gosh.
I found myself doing things that just as a single guy, or, maybe I'm not in a serious relationship, I just didn't care. Maybe I took
Mm-hmm.
more pride in my car, like I was saying, more pride in my dress and
Mm-hmm.
grooming, because there's a chance I may see you today.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to present one way. And so I am going to change in that regard.
Yeah.
And maybe I want to have something to say when I see you. Maybe I want to be able to hold a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps I start reading books or listening to NPR, and so I don't sound like a complete idiot.
Right.
Now
So
my
you're trying to
friends,
impress your person.
you want to impress, but you also, so for me, I didn't want to be a bum,
Yeah.
right? So somewhere in between impress and don't be a bum is where I was,
Mm-hmm.
because some of the ways that I changed, I actually enjoyed.
Right.
And while they may have started out because of her dean,
Mm-hmm.
they remained because I enjoyed the person that I was.
Mm-hmm.
Now my friends and family, on the other hand, they've gotten used to me being whoever I was.
Right.
So
Pre-herdine,
pre
pre-relationship.
her dean, right? They're
Relationship.
like, you're good. Why are you doing this now? Why that? And so that can be where some of that tension lies.
Right. And they like that. They like that they can expect you to be a certain way, kind of,
Oh yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
know.
And
And
let me just say this. The thing about change is that often it isn't that our families don't want us to change, but it creates some discomfort within them,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
right? Like we were fine the way you were, and now you've changed, which now means we have to either A, change, or B, adapt to this new you.
right. And we're going to question you too. Is this really you?
Right. Because I know you're not that serious.
Yeah. Right.
So,
That's true. And then there's also kind of like I've had in my experience uh of being in my 20s and dating and things like that, now in my 30s. Um, when you're still trying to find yourself too, that adds like a whole nother layer of things. And what we were talking about with like your friend changing while being in a relationship, I've also seen friends and, you know, sometimes myself too, where you just so badly want to relate with your significant other that you just, again, kind of start to lose that identity, which is what we talked about in a previous episode. And if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to it, because that has a lot of nice nuggets of wisdom in there, some gems.
Yep.
But it's relevant in this sense too, of, you know, you're changing while you're in this relationship. It's not necessarily bad, but it can also be a little bit of a concern.
It's definitely something that other people have to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I talk about change, or I hear people talk about change, I say, when we say change, could we also be talking about evolving?
Upgrading,
downgrading,
elevating,
evolving. Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Upgrading, elevating speaks that we're getting better.
Right.
And that goes back to this world I don't live in, right? We're just evolving and we're changing. Not better or worse, just changing. Because better or worse is a values judgment that changes based on who you're talking to.
True. Good point.
So we evolve, we change. And I think the fact that the people in our circles, you know, it's almost like we kind of got to give them a heads up that change is coming.
Right.
You know, otherwise we totally mess them up.
It's true. And you know what? It just made me think of like when I'm working with kids and you have to give them like the 5-minute warning before transitioning to a new subject so they don't freak out. It's kind of like that. Like, hey, just letting you know, I'm in a relationship now.
Right. So, well, there's somebody, and you know, you may notice some differences because it helps to manage the anxieties within these family and friend systems. You know, even in my marriage, if I'm seeing that I'm interested in some different things or hanging out with some different people, I need to be sending my wife some signals that, you know what, I'm a little different. I may be into some more Merlot wine, and you know, I got some new cheese and cracker friends, you know, because right, you know, if she's only used to my beer and hot dogs and steak friends, you know, she's gonna be wondering, who is this guy?
Right. That's true, and it's not always bad, you know, like you said.
It's just different.
Evolving, right?
So we, you know, you're gonna be confronted with that regardless, and some people are gonna miss the signals. But there isn't much you can do about it. If you're trying to help manage and navigate that, you know, that's just some things you could do. Also, I encourage people in new relationships not to feel too bad, because your friends will love you eventually. Your families will always love you. They won't let you go. Eventually, they get over it.
It's like an adjustment period for them.
Oh, yeah. And I believe that our friends and families genuinely want the best for us. So they are often rooted in a good place.
Right.
You know, I want to believe that. They may not always communicate it appropriately, but I think they are looking out for us.
I agree. So yeah, just be patient with yourself during that time.
Oh, yeah. It'll work out. And then if it doesn't, you know, we learned. We moved on.
We did. And we evolved. Past it. And elevated and upgraded.
Yes, we did all those things. So if you're in this process, right? A new boo, a new bae, new whomever, whatever label, you know, that's interesting. I think the labels, we need to make a note, because there's a lot of new labels since I've been in the game.
There's a lot.
And
labels in general.
Yeah. So, yeah. So listen, if you guys want to hear that conversation, let us know by leaving us a comment here after this episode. Share it with your friends. And then in addition, what about labels, and then when they change, what happens? What's been your experience, um, good or bad, as far as how you felt it went.
Mhm.
So listen, this has been the weekend edition of Relationship Renegade. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, and we will expect to see you here for another episode.
Next week. See you later.
Take care.